Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ English. I'm your host Pravin Mishra, and today I have got with me the one who has simplified one of the most terrifying subjects ever, that is economics. And you know it very well, when I'm mentioning economics, it would be just one name with us, that will be always Ankit Singh sir. So Ankit sir, welcome, and it's a great pleasure for me to share this mic.
Thank you, Praveen sir. It's been long due.
Yeah, it's been a long time out, do you think? Obviously. So, guys, today I have got Ankit sir with me for one very, what I say, interesting as well as horrifying topic. Horrifying in nature, severe topic it is. What we have encountered just a day back was not expected neither by in our country, by anyone, neither into the global stages as well. Out of nowhere, suddenly, out of the blues, Pakistan has signed a defense pact, a defense deal with the country that is known as Saudi Arabia. Before we enter into the discussion, just a disclaimer that's needed basically to be just discussed here is what Saudi Arabia used to be a country that was used to be a big critique of the state of Pakistan. Whenever it comes to criticism of Pakistan, Saudi Arabia has often mentioned, even the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia has often mentioned, that how a failed state's best definition is Pakistan. And now, suddenly, once again, out of the blues, out of the box, this one country who was once upon a time the big critique of Pakistan has now signed a defense deal with Pakistan. And that too, when it comes to the nuclear defense program. It's not the deterrence this time. It's the defense this time with Saudi and Pakistan, right? So I got this name with me, that is Ankit sir, who I think is the very accurate person to give the insights over the same topic. So Ankit sir, let's start with the very first question. Once again, same. Why this Saudi Arabia? I mean, once upon a time, a big critique, how we have seen that when around 6-8 months back, when Pakistan went to the doors of Saudi and asked for some financial aid, and how humiliating treaty and how humiliating conditions and clauses were kept by Saudi in front of Pakistan, and that too Pakistan agreed. Obviously, the phrase in Hindi, marta kya na karta. So how suddenly this thing has happened? Can you throw some lights on this?
Well, the situation that led to the signing of Defense Pact between Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Islamic Republic of Pakistan pertains to changing regional dynamics of the West Asia, that is the Middle East from Western perspective. Now, in last 2 years, what has happened? Israel has went into war with first Hamas, then Hezbollah, then Houthis. Then it expanded its coverage so as to include countries like Lebanon and also Syria. In total, including the attack that recently was conducted by Israel on Qatar, Israel is right now in conflict with 7 different nations. And the most important development here was Qatar.
Okay.
Qatar is a very close ally of US, so much so that US's biggest Middle East military base is located in Qatar. And on the other hand, US also has very close relations with Israel. So come to think of it, do you think few years back you could imagine a scenario when one ally of US would conduct an aerial strike on another ally of US? No, right? Now think from that perspective. Few years down the line, what if Saudi Arabia and Israel are at odds with each other? Theoretically, that can happen. So in that case, can Saudi Arabia count on countries like US to help evade the brunts of Israel?
Not possible.
Not possible. And slowly, particularly since the onset of, say, Donald Trump into the office of President of United States, the trust that the allies have on US is at all-time low. And same is the case with Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia is trying to hedge its bet. Saudi Arabia is not trying to keep all its egg in one basket, and it is trying to diversify away from US. And so the regional alternative became somewhat Pakistan. And as you've seen, Pakistan, since many years now, has become beholden to Saudi Arabia. It has depended on Saudi Arabia for loans. It has depended on Saudi Arabia to mend its relationship with, say, US. So now Saudi Arabia thought, why shouldn't it cash on all its goodwill? And that is why I think they have signed this defense pact.
Many of the geopolitical experts in our country as well as on the global stages as well, they have called this pact as the Middle East's NATO. What's your say on this?
Well, I guess they've called it a Middle East NATO because attack on one NATO country is seen as an attack on all NATO countries, right? And same kind of a statement is also given in the defense pact between these two countries.
Okay.
So people have interpreted rightly so in terms of theory that in case suppose someone attacks Saudi Arabia in future, Pakistan would come to its rescue, and they have interpreted the same with respect to Pakistan also, that if in future we give Pakistan another beating like Operation Sindoor, Saudi Arabia would come to its rescue. But according to me, this is not a right way of understanding things. Primarily because Pakistan is not someone you can count on. Both of them need each other right now, so they have signed a deal. But this deal will only continue if these two countries continue to need each other in the future as well, which I doubt. This is a true reality in 2025, in September 2025, but I don't see this continuing for a long period of time. And eventually, the relationship in Middle East that is happening today with respect to Arab states on one hand and Israel and US on another is going to somewhat cool down a bit.
So ultimately, what do you think its implications on India will be?
Well, prima facie, you'll have to understand what Indian government in its official statement said. If you go through the statement given by the MEA spokesperson yesterday, he started off this statement by saying that yes, we were aware of this kind of a development. Itself, it was Kingdom of Saudi Arabia that made government of India aware of this kind of a development. And the second part of the statement, they said that we are continuing or we are currently assessing what the implications are going to be. But after that, he went on to say that we don't have reservations on who Saudi Arabia goes to bed with. But in the perspective of the potential funding that Saudi Arabia can give to Pakistan, this creates a lot of problem vis-a-vis India and Pakistan's relation. First of all, after the Operation Sindoor, we have seen the kind of a morale that existed in Pakistani army was at an all-time low since 1971. And for us to benefit, we want that to continue for a longest period of time. But now since Pakistan has signed this agreement with Saudi, you can say the stature or the kind of hubris that goes on in the mind of Pakistani army, that will continue to grow. So in future, I see a possibility that Pakistan might try to create some more misdemeanors in India. The second part of the argument is that Saudi Arabia obviously would give funding to Pakistan. And this would enable Pakistan to indirectly buy US weapons, which it is not in a right place to do right now. Because first of all, what are the two things that Pakistan lack? What are the two things?
Finance.
Funds and common sense. Right. No one can give them common sense that we have understood.
Okay.
The second part
was brutal.
Yes. Second is funds. So funds, they can either get it directly, which we know can't happen because of the mindset that Pakistan has. They are not going to go all pro-business, pro-development. They'll be pro-jihad and pro-terrorism. But on the other hand, if they are able to secure funds indirectly, in this case from Saudi Arabia, this can enable Pakistan to buy new sets of weapons, not from China, but from US. And what are the main fighters in the disposal of Pakistani Air Force? American F-16s. And from American side, we know they won't be reluctant to give any weapons to Pakistan. As far as they are getting their businesses, it doesn't matter to them. Those weapons are being used against India. Those weapons are being used against Israel. They're going to give it to them.
Means, like, out of my curiosity, first of all, I'm not able to come out of this line. When you asked me what are the two things Pakistan is lacking, so I was having multiple things to quote. The first thing that I was having is the funds or the finance, and second, two, three, four, five things I was about to speak. But this is, well, so Pakistan, really sorry, but that's hard reality. You must accept. Common sense is what not common in your country, in your territory, maybe. I suggest you something. You must, go ahead with some agricultural practices. Just try to have some seeds of, that rationality. And maybe ultimately you would be having some sort of common sense, and you would understand that paving the ways for terrorism and breeding them on your own soil is just demeaning and delining yourself only.
Sorry to disturb you, sir, but there's a saying that Pakistan should adopt.
Pakistan?
Should adopt. Make money, not war. Or make peace, not war.
Well, sir, I just read it somewhere. It's like I'm in love with this line for sure. If you ever feel useless, don't feel sad. Remember, there is an anti-terrorism squad in Pakistan. Right? Okay, so don't ever feel useless. Just think about those guys.
Like there's an office of Prime Minister in North Korea.
Yeah.
Democratic Republic of North Korea.
Of North Korea. Right? Okay, so it is happening.
Multiple oxymorons.
Yeah, in fact, I was also surprised I don't exactly remember which organization it is. I think probably it is SARC. Probably it is SARC, if I'm not wrong. It is having its one center of mediation, that is, talking about peaceful mediation when it comes to conflict between the states, and it's headquartered in Karachi.
I think they had to give Karachi or Pakistan something, at
No.
least something out of that. So they said कि तुम ये रख लो.
So, sir, now if we just talk on the basics here. Considering this term Middle East NATO, I was going through this establishment of the Quad. So the basics that I have with myself, that Quad is said to be the brainchild of the late Prime Minister of
Shinzo
Japan,
Abe.
Shinzo Abe. So he tried for a long time, but ultimately Quad comes into the existence only formally in the year 2015, right? 2015-16. So Quad has been mentioned as ASEAN NATO. Okay, with these four countries: India, Japan, Australia, and America. And here what we have seen, America is least interested since last almost 6-7 years. America has shown least interest in any kind of Quad summits and Quad meetings and so on. Though they have sent their representatives, the president itself has come, but no further outcome, no further treaty or an agreement or any kind of pact has not been signed in the Quad so far. So what I read one day in the Hindu itself, that once upon a time Jawaharlal Nehru made the NAM, non-alignment movement, which sooner came to be known as the Sleeping Beauty. And so this ASEAN Quad is right now also is termed as Sleeping Beauty. It's good, okay, on papers, but in realism, in realistic terms, in the geopolitical arena, what we say, it is not working as per the the strength these four countries they do possess, specifically into the Indo-Pacific region. Considering the string of pearls of China, and apart from that, how Southeast Asia, along with the South Asian nations, it is falling day by day, from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and presently, freshly, the Nepal. And so also we have seen that how many Southeast Asian nations are also struggling with regard to the growth and development pace. They are good with the growth and development, no doubt, but yes, the pace is not as per they desired or as per they think they could go ahead with. Like, for example, Singapore. It is having the all-time low as of now, along with the other nations like Indonesia and so on. And in fact, the ASEAN also is right now not into that one particular platform, where it was quite aggressively working, and the ASEAN provisions and the ASEAN forums are also, these days are on a, what we say, on a very secretive mode, right? So in this situation, where ASEAN is technically kind of, almost into that hibernation mode, where ASEAN NATO, that is Quad, is of no use, where this RIM association is always, we have seen that it's, it is made, but what it is of, no one is aware of as of now. So now suddenly, this one and two countries, Pakistan and Saudi, they have created a defense pact, when they are already watching that the global trade is somewhere around the corner, is going at an all-time low. And there they are dealing in the nuclear. And now there they are talking that attack on one will be considered attack on both, right? So doesn't it looks like a type of a conspiracy that these guys are onto, or they are preparing for something huge, something big that is coming? Like, because my memory of world history tells me the same, that all of these type of events, that is, failed treaties, failed pacts, and these dormant organizations and associations used to be present there during the World War I as well as during the World War II, between the Prusso-Austrian Empire, between the Czech Republic and the other, let's say, this is Spain and Italy, and going towards the west, same thing was happening between the North and South American continents. So almost parameters are same. Almost the measurements have become the same. So don't you think so? Means, like, please correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm overthinking. This is a type of a conspiracy that these people are preparing themselves for something big that is coming.
Well, frankly, I don't think so. The intellect of Pakistan is so deep or so high that they will be able to think so far off in the future.
Okay.
What happened when Pakistan came up with its nuclear weapon? It said, "ये देख रहा है," like a keyring rotating on their fingers. "ये देख रहा है. It is an Islamic nuclear bomb. I can use it on anyone who speaks against Islam." This was their what you can say, a propaganda that they started to justify them getting a nuclear weapon, although it was unfairly that they have gotten it. Now, think from that perspective. All the other countries, big or small, who come from Arab areas or even Persian countries like Iran, they, out of so many attempts, out of the convincing of US on the part of Saudi and UAE, they did not come up with their own nuclear weapon. Iran, we have seen, came up with almost a nuclear weapon, but it was has been prevented many times through peace deal or through attacks by US and Israel. Now these countries have seen that we can't come up with their own nuclear weapon, and right now the equations in Middle East, after Israel has become a more dominant force in the Middle East, all of these countries are afraid. First of all, Iran can't depend on US for obvious reasons, and Saudi, although it is a very close ally of US, it can't depend on US to keep Israel off at bay. Now, what if Israel conducts any kind of aggression on Arab countries? They would be defenseless. So they are trying to see this as a need-based alliance, where Pakistan on one hand has tried to portray its nuclear weapon as a nuclear weapon meant for all Islamic countries, but now this is more a kind of a convenient alliance that until this threat subsides, we might rely on Pakistan. But this might is a very big if. And in reality, I don't think Pakistan has the means. Pakistan has the capacity to do what it has promised to Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
If tomorrow Israel conducts an attack on Saudi Arabia, I don't think so Pakistan, except sending some of its armies, I don't think so they are going to invest beyond that. Even they don't have the means to do that.
So in that case, sir,
And one more thing, sir. You were talking about Quad. Quad, according to me, is very different from, say, NATO or even the defense pact that these two countries have been in. The main orientation of Quad, or the main pillar on which Quad was based, was more of an economic pillar, not a defense related pillar. The solidification of Quad happened against China, and this was because of the kind of dominance China had in the global trade, and in the global manufacturing. And these countries know, even before COVID, that we can't solely depend on China's to ensure our supply chain. And this kind of a, what you can say, suspicion became a reality after COVID. They saw that once the economic activities in China got disrupted, so they needed some kind of an industrial setup to be moved away from China. And then comes the concept of friendshoring and nearshoring. And hence, in this regard, India was seen as an alternative. Now, the current politics of US is somewhat moving towards an economically nationalist kind of a policies. So it wouldn't want countries like Australia, countries like Japan, and countries like India to develop themselves economically. And that is why you will see reluctance or a lesser of an interest shown by US in the regard of Quad alliance. So according to me, Quad and NATO are two very different things. The main orientation of NATO, or the only orientation of NATO, it is a security alliance. It is a security pact, whereas Quad, only one of the pillars is security, which you can see in terms of naval exercises, Malabar, etc. And except all of them are being based on emerging technologies and economy, trade, basically.
so ultimately, finally, if we just talk about that, these things are not targeted towards any kind of a big conspiracy, nothing World War III type of a things. Okay, so that's fine. But do you think all of these things will somewhere around the corner impact the issues like Balochistan and Kashmir somewhere? Because now we know Saudi is having a big lobby. Saudi is having a very strong hold in whole of the Middle East, along with the Southeast Asian nations are also very keen always to have good cordial relations with Saudi, and in fact all of the Middle East nations. And the lobby that is possessed by Saudi Arabia, okay, it's financial lobby, it's non-financial lobby, it's political lobbies as well, will somewhere impact India's intent in Balochistan.
Well, you have to understand, Saudi 20 years back and Saudi of 2025 is very different.
Okay.
The primary intention, it was more of a radically charged Islamic state, not Islamic state in particular, but a state that perpetrated the ideas of Islamism in, say, 20, 30 years back. Now, after the onset of this new rule, particularly through Crown Prince MBS, what has happened that Saudi has become more oriented towards trade economy, and it is trying to diversify away from the kind of natural resources that it has relied on, that is the crude oil. Now, In the Middle East itself, in the West Asia itself, rise of Iran and Turkey has also happened. So it in a way has chipped away the kind of influence that Saudi had few years back. Similarly, the relations that India has with Saudi and its closest regional ally UAE, I don't need to speak more on it. You already know how big it is. In terms of bilateral trade, when it comes to India and Saudi Arabia has a very close to $43 billion of bilateral trade. And here it is Saudi's exports to India, which amounts to more than three-fourth of it. That is $33 billion is the amount of export that Saudi does to us. Now imagine a scenario if the relations between Saudi and India is going to sour. So that trade automatically would get affected. India has been one of the key importers of Saudi's crude oil. Don't you think any country would be afraid of jeopardizing its so much trade to a main country who is going to become a regional power? Not going to become a regional power, is already a regional power. That is India. So from that perspective, although the financing that it is going to do to Pakistan, that is a cause of worry for us. But when it comes to our bilateral relations with Saudi and our bilateral relations with Arab states in general, who are very close to Saudi, that I don't think so is going to affect. Because prima facie, our relations is very good. And there are other somewhat greater powers in the region who are going to check Saudi directly and indirectly. That is Iran and Turkey.
Okay. So ultimately, neither our intentions and operations in Balochistan would be impacted, and neither it would create any much ruckus in the Kashmir Valley.
Well, if you look at the situations that happened in 2019, first was Pulwama attack that led to death of 40 CRPF personnel. It was Saudi who condemned it. Then India conducted Balakot airstrike. Saudi did not say a word. It was also very muted in its response to abrogation of 370. So imagine a situation where a country like Saudi Arabia, if it is quiet on these issues which affect the region of Kashmir and interest also of Pakistan, do you think it will say anything to an India of 2025, which is quite a lot big in its economy and influence than compared to India of 2019?
I don't think so. Well, at least not through the front end channels.
And also there has been a saying that Pakistan for long is trying to portray itself as an Arab state. There's a very famous quote that Pakistan is trying to be more Arab than Arabs themselves. And in that way, Saudi used to create a very discrimination with Pakistan. Whenever Pakistan approached Saudi, said, "हमें अपने में मत मिलाओ, दूर रखो." But now the situation is such, Saudi is trying to embrace Pakistan, but this, according to me, would be very temporary. This is going to be transient. I don't think so. This would materialize to a depth of partnership that, say, Pakistan has with China.
And they are basically, I believe, they are struggling with this identity crisis. As you stated, they are trying to be more Arabs than Arabs themselves.
Well, Pakistan and hubris, I guess, is synonymous. But right now, I've seen in recent years, Saudi is trying to be more pragmatic. And it is their pragmatism that has allowed them to sign a defense pact with Pakistan.
Okay.
But it will be their pragmatism that will allow them not to sour its relations with India.
That's a very perfect thing. Because actually, I was hearing to him, now he's no more, Tariq Fateh. Right.
I quoted that. Tariq Fateh.
So, Tariq Fateh in one of his interviews was saying that these people are suffering from a severe disease known as identity crisis, as they really don't have any idea what they are. Either they are the actual Punjabis, either they are the actual Pathans, either they are the actual Arabs, or either what they are. They don't have even any
if they are
ethnicity.
facing their identity crisis, allow me to tell them their identity.
Please, sir.
They are Indians. Just by creating a border does not erase your identity that has emerged from, say, centuries.
Well, that's brutal again. They are Indians. Okay, yeah, that will be giving the clear-cut response to those people. If any one of the people from Pakistan would be hearing this, I think they would.
I'm expecting their comments.
Means please, marna mat yaar. Okay, so sir, with this, I will say really thank you so much. We have got all the
Thank you, sir.
information and the very clear-cut insights over this. Though I'm literally not willing to just end this one here. Okay, but yes, the time is not allowing me today. But for sure, we will be having a more comprehensive comprehensive discussion on such topics quite soon.
And also, please let me know, do you want this kind of an interaction to happen between us every week? I just want your responses. Do let me know what you feel in the comment section. And please allow me and Praveen sir to conclude this. It was nice having you, and I'm sure Praveen sir also enjoyed this.
Yeah, really. Means like, a camera person is, continuously giving me that. हाँ जा रहे yeah, we are leaving. So it's time for us to move on, guys. Okay, so everyone, really thank you so much for watching, and please do let us know your valuable feedback into the comment section, and yes, for sure, how much eagerly you are waiting for the next such session with Ankit sir. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Please take care and keep studying well. Jai Hind. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Praveen sir.
Thank you, sir.